One.
Good evening and welcome to a Mitch'nandMauck'n about the card short hop. I'm Mitchell and back at the Superstition Ranch where Thursday nights are quarter chicken wing nights. He is the mouth of the West, Tyrell Mock. Tyrell, how's your trip back home?
Enlightening, interesting, and my goodness, is it green back in Missouri compared to the brown in Arizona? Man.
Did you buy a farm?
No.
Did you make an offer? Are you in escrow? Can we not break this news yet?
My wife found out how small my hometown was and looked at it from those lenses, and she's like, whoa. Like I'm 70-30 into this thing now, not 90-10. So we're having a little bit of a family discussion a little bit longer about this.
I mean, Casey was like that about your marriage anyway, much less the move.
Right? I couldn't believe she actually married me. It just took her 7 years.
Let's get into it. Quick week in review. 2 out of 3 against a decent A's team. Their record doesn't show it, but they're playing better. I know you went to the beat down on Monday night, and you said you had a little rant you'd like to go on about the stadium experience. So go ahead, Tyrell. The floor is yours.
Yeah, dude. 17,000 people there was
on a Labor Day.
On a Labor Day. It was depressing and sad, and everybody around me knew it and talked about it. It was the topic of the conversation all through the game, and how bad the team was performing was all through the game too. It was not any. It reminded me of the Cardinal games I used to go to in 1994, 95, 96. Those years that were just not that great reminded me completely of that. We were right behind the dugout and just looking up at Big Mac land, completely empty. Not a soul in sight, nobody. It was depressing and sad, and I hated seeing Busch Stadium like that, to be honest with you.
On 22, there was 34,000 at Labor Day. 23 was still 32. And then, of course, 21,000 was the actual ticket sold, but you're saying there's well less than that.
Well less than that. Dude, we had friends from Arizona back who are A's fans. They were up in 346. We're in 143. We call them in the second inning and say, hey, we have an entire row that is empty. You guys just want to come down here? No problem. Just came right down. All 5 of them.
And the visual is not good on TV anymore. Just looking out, when they do the intro every night, nothing but red seats everywhere. The green seats, I'm sure, are still kind of full. The premium areas, they don't really see, the Enterprise Club, places like that. The Champions Club is probably full. But the general stands, the bleachers, left field porch, it is empty these days.
I didn't have to wait for a beer in line. I didn't have to wait for a hot dog. I went and got one of those nice bacon wrapped hot dogs because didn't have to wait. I've never been at Busch Stadium where I did not have to wait for something. Even to use the bathroom, nothing. You walked right through. It was like walking through Chase Field when the Diamondbacks sucked.
Were there like a lot of areas closed off? Did you tour the stadium, just kind of walk around a little bit? Was there like concession areas closed off, or were they full up?
They're full up, but there were some bathrooms over by Big Mac land that was completely closed off because of, what did we say on a podcast previously? Oh yeah, broken pipes, and you can't use that bathroom because of flooding. Weird. So weird, yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, weird how we're justified once again.
Mm-hmm.
There's 21 games left. I just counted. They're a game under 500, but we are now at the start of fall with Labor Day weekend now in our rearview mirror. College football kicked off with a fun weekend last weekend. Dallas Phillies on right now. Why do you still watch the Cardinals when really the playoff chances are slim and getting slimmer by the day?
Baseball has always been my first love, and the Cardinals have always been my team that I loved. From last podcast, you guys know I grew up on a farm, listening to Jack Buck, Mike Shannon, Joe Buck on the radio, Tim McCarver. Was how I grew up in my farm days, listen to the tractor on the radio, all that stuff, and I would go to sleep at night with them in my ear. I just love baseball. It's been my sport to go to forever. It's my safe place. I don't know, and I want my daughter to enjoy baseball too. She's been to 7 games already, the smell of the grass, the leather, the bat, it just all is so wonderful. And the game is wonderful as well. It's gotten a little bit out of over its skis, let's say, but it's my first love, and the Cardinals are I'm always gonna support them, they're my team.
There's that saying, how can you not be romantic about baseball? I think we all have, listening to West Coast games on the radio, falling asleep as kids. That first time seeing the arch in the background. And like you, baseball's my first love. I've been fortunate enough to coach high school football for 20 years. I'm a football guy. People think I'm a football guy. But man, it's baseball. It's Ozzie doing the flip. It's McGuire hitting moonshots. It's watching Pujols be the best hitter on the planet. But now, we're both fathers. We both got kids. My kid is super busy. You come home at night, it's background noise. And for me, that background noise is now replaced by a random college football game, replaced by a random NFL game. Football has replaced that noise in my house now, as I can hear Dallas, Philly, in the background right now. And I've got football options Thursday through Monday night now, which leaves Tuesday and Wednesday for baseball. And a team that is barely 500 and hanging on to the playoff hopes by a thread, I'm not sure how much of my free time and attention I want to give baseball when it doesn't love me back like it used to. I pay the $20 a month for FanDuel Sports, but why? You're giving me an inferior product. And as a consumer, let's just talk to the economics of it. Why do I want to pay for an inferior product?
Yep, yep.
And it's sad and it almost
It's
breaks my
sad,
heart.
yeah. It really does too. And I hate how baseball has gone that way of the regional cable networks. There was nothing better than a day game, Cardinals Cubs on pick a channel, 3710. I'm from Northeast Missouri, so KTBO, it was just always on, and I loved that to hear Harry Carey, even though Cubs, but watching those were so awesome and takes you back. But the way it's enjoyed now is not the same for me, and I agree. I'm more football orientated to watch, baseball to play. It just yeah, it just kind of now that you mentioned sad.
You bring up a great point about the regional of baseball. My grandfather, he was in his 70s at the time, retired, had a stroke in 82, couldn't really do much with the left side of his body, still farmed all day. After lunch, take his nap. You come to the house at 2:30, he's watching a game on WGN. That would take him up till grandma made dinner. He'd come back from dinner, sit on his couch, watch TBS, watch the Braves for about an hour until it's time for the Cardinals' first pitch. That was my grandpa's day. Work all morning, harder than most people half his age. Eat lunch, take a nap. Cubs game up right after the nap. Dinner, the Braves and the Cardinals. And now TBS hasn't shown the Braves in a generation. I can't even get WGN. I don't know if they have Cub games or not. So you kind of lose that generation of fans. As a teacher, my kids don't like baseball. They play it, but they're not sitting in class trading baseball cards or talking about Otani or Mike Trout or Mookie Betts. They're all just revving up about the NFL. That's all we talked about during our transition times today was the Thursday night game. There was no baseball playoff talk.
Not anymore. There's nobody to talk about, like, and plus baseball cards have priced kids out of the market too, so they're not gonna be in there doing that stuff like we were.
I mean, we get a pack of tops for 50 cents back in the day.
Yeah.
A
Upper Deck
Chrome,
were $1.99.
$1.99. A buddy of mine, big baseball card collector, $70 for a box of Topps Chrome. A kid can't afford
No.
that.
No.
I can't afford that as a teacher for retail. It's insane. And he said he got like $7 back when he was trying to figure out what it was worth. Baseball has priced itself out of the common man, so to speak. Especially now, you can't watch a game on TV anymore on YouTube TV. They got rid of the MLB package or MLB network. So you got to pay $20. That's an extra expense for families to try to watch the Cardinals. Too many other options, like we've talked about. Too many
Too
other
many other
entertainment
options.
options.
Yep.
One of our favorite topics is Jordan Walker and what they're going to do with him. Brent Brown threw him flat under the bus. I think he's still recovering from the tire tracks. We titled this one The Curious Case of Jordan Walker. Physically has all the tools. Thunderbolt for a right arm. 20-game hitting streak ash in the minor leagues, looks the part, could be physically, tool-wise great as a superstar, but can't put it together in the show. And we're hearing, from Brent Brown and those guys that he doesn't put in the work to do it. You put in our show notes probably a good 7-minute rant. I told you to keep it
Yeah,
under 3 so we could chop it up for socials. But Tyrell, the floor is yours, and I'll rub my nose or something at 3 minutes. Here
yeah.
we go. The Curious Case of
Uh,
Jordan Walker.
I even titled this podcast, Jordan Walker Needs to Leave St. Louis. He needs out. He needs to go, run away from this organization. This is done dirty. You do not throw a player in the bus like that. Brent Brown, I don't care who you are. Pujols might have went to you when you were at the Dodgers. You don't throw a 23-year-old player in the bus like this. You have to learn how to speak his language and work with him. I This has infuriated me no end. Now the Cardinals are controlling the Jordan Walker narrative, not Jordan controlling on the play with his field. It has gotten out of hand. And the fact that someone who works at STO Sports Central, you can use all the analytical data you want to try to back up anything. Yeah, yeah. But when it push comes to shove, Jordan Walker needs to get out of St. Louis. This is the guy who we brought up from Double A, brought him up. 17 game hit streak, first 17 games of the show, and then suddenly he's back down the minors because he went through a little bit of a struggle and needed to adjust to the pitchers. That's what happens. That's what baseball is. The fact that you threw him back down there and then we're like, hey, we need you to change your stance. We need you to hit the ball harder. We need you to hit home runs. Well, I'm sorry, home runs are rally killers. Doubles, just as sexy, just as sexy. And Jordan Walker is a doubles hitter. Home runs come. I don't understand why they push the home run narrative on a young player. You drafted Jordan Walker to be what he is. He's a hard hitter. He has some of the highest exit velocity off his bat out of every young player throughout the major leagues. Hard as Aaron Judge. But the fact that you guys want a batting philosophy and want him to cater to your way is ridiculous. You drafted him, you knew who he was, and trying to change him midway through his major league career. And this guy, this is year 3. I'm sorry. Year 1, you threw him down the minors. Year 2, you threw him in the minors. This is his first full season of getting it going. And if we recall, he's laid off the outside pitch. He's making adjustments. So the fact that you're going to say he's lazy, which is basically what they said, is ridiculous because we can all point to how well his defense has sprung up and got well. So he's coachable. You can't say he's not because he's working with Willie and now John Jay, and his defense has gotten better. So the guy's coachable. Your messaging is off. I think the St. Louis Cardinals have fumbled this from the jump street and are the ones to blame for this entire thing. So be that you may throw him under the bus all you want, I would not play for you anymore.
There's an old saying in coaching: you praise publicly, but then you criticize behind closed doors.
100.
And especially when you're working with young kids. It's a lot of ego in sports, and a certain guy responds to negative. You, as a coach, as a leader of men, have to know which guys you can MF in public or to their face and which ones you got to praise. And I'm not going to pretend to know Jordan Walker. Maybe he's that guy who you can MF to in public and that gets him going. But you're never wrong to praise publicly and criticize behind closed doors. Looking at the splits here real quick on Walker, the last 7 games, hitting just 042, last 15, 130, and the last 30 games last month, just hitting 202. They have screwed him up beyond repair, in my opinion. And it is best for this organization to go trade for Mike Trout, if you watch our last show. But to move on for Jordan Walker, it's best for his career, too, at this point. Because I see him being a guy who flourishes somewhere else where they tell him, be you. Be what got you drafted. Be who you were in the minor leagues. See ball, hit ball. We'll adjust from there. Not one size fits all hitting philosophy.
That's 100%. And if you listen to some couple of Zach Gallen interviews too, he says the same thing about the pitching side, where they're like, "Hey, we want you to fit this into this narrative and this way." It's like, no, you play to people's strengths, not their weaknesses or something they're not good at or not used to doing. It's to me, and I put it in my notes. It's like the a football team drafting a running quarterback and then be like, nope, we want you to be a pocket passer now. That's not what his game is. You can't change their game when they're 20 years old and been doing it this long. Jordan Walker might know his hitting stance the best. How can you think that you know better than he does just because you got years in the business? That's ridiculous to demand respect but not give it.
Have you ever heard Pete Rose talk hitting?
Mm-mm.
It's a
I've
clinic.
been
I
listening to
highly
Barry
recommend
Bonds
it.
and Gary
Sometime before
Sheffield
he
though.
passed, he was on MLB Network talking hitting, and this guy again, the all-time hit king, and a degenerate gambler like the two of us. So that's why I like Pete Rose. But Pete's thing was, in a slump, never change your stance. It got you to the show. You're ahead on the curveball, back up in the box. You're late on it, scoot up in the box, move up, down, right, left, but don't change your swing or your stance. I mean, this is from a guy who, again, leads all major leagues in hitting, probably knows a little bit about it. But the Cardinals constantly wanting to change what got guys to the show to fit into the mold goes back to, again, just the amount of disconnect they have with the minor league system, which is probably why that dude got fired in the minor leagues, because he probably wasn't following the hitting philosophy. And ultimately, why Mike Shell got fired for wanting to get rid of his hitting coach at the time, because they didn't agree. And once again, we have worked philosophical differences into our show. We might change the show title next year to Philosophical Differences with
That's what I
Mitchell and
was gonna
Tyrell.
say too, man. Where you change that. I love that.
On a fun note tonight, let's finish it up. Officially, the Cardinals have 5 jerseys: the white homes, the white grays, the Saturday away blues, the Saturday creams, and then, of course, the City Connect red. Tyrell, give me your top 3 favorite jerseys.
City Connect,
1 to
the
3. This is 1 to
Blues.
3.
Yeah. City Connect, the Blues, um, clean home white. Just there you go.
Just those 2, red and white, and then blue. Red.
Yep.
I would argue the white jersey is one of the most iconic jerseys, not just in MLB, but in sports. Obviously, the Yankee pinstripe probably being number 1 because they're the Yankees. But then the birds on the bat. I mean, when you have a brand, you don't need to change it. That is the brand, is the bird on bat. And I like even how in the other instances of the jerseys, they've kept at least the bird on bat. We're throwing St. Louis and stuff in there. I'm going to say the home whites, then the grays. And I do like those City Connects. Those City Connects are clean. I wasn't a fan at first, but it's kind of growing on me. I hate the blue Saturdays. I don't know why. I just don't like them.
I hate all blue. The blue jerseys themselves pop. You just need to leave those. But then going all powder blue does not do it for me. I agree. The creams used to do it for me. They don't do it for me anymore though. So
It's one of those things, like, I'm not a jersey guy. I don't buy a lot of stuff, but if I did, it would probably be the white. I have a gray, but I love anything with the City Connect red on it. I see you picked up, it looks like a City Connect hat back there.
yes, I did.
What that cost in the pro shop?
$70. No, this was actually on sale. 45 down to 29. So I was like, all right, I can pick that up. And the wife said it looked good in it, so I gotta agree with her taste, right?
Well, she's got terrible taste, obviously.
That I obviously. And then the rest of it, I didn't. That's the only thing I bought for myself. And then everything else for my kid. I bought her a green and gold cardinal hat.
Oh,
Pops on her red head.
we'll have to see
We're
that
good.
sometime.
Yeah.
With the NFL coming and the Cardinals kind of struggling down, we're probably just going to shoot 2 nights a week, probably Tuesdays and Thursdays, just the short hops, unless they can sweep San Francisco and the Mets keep falling off. Have you seen Ryan Helsley's stat line for the Mets as we wrap up tonight?
35 ERA and 18 runs in 11 innings or something like that.
He may get DFA'd before this season's over.
Picking back up.
A reunion on the cheap. Finally, John Mozeliak got rid of a guy on time.
For once, yes. And
One
we got
last
some
party
dish
shot for
return.
Mo.
Yep.
He
All
got
right.
rid of
Well,
a guy right on time. Here's your flowers, Mr. Mozeliak. Now please get out of town.
leave.
We'll be back Tuesday night with another short hop for the Mouth of the West, Tyrell and Mock. I am Mitchell Jenkins. and we will see you Tuesday night.